So I'm here to give I just want to know how many people weren't here last week. Okay, how many people were here last week? So right before I give like the 5-minute summary, does anyone want to give like a quick 30-second? 30-second summary for the other people who were here? Anybody want to volunteer? Give a quick 30-second. Nobody? Okay.
Basically, the main thing was giving background on like the setup of the Ten Commandments. Talked about how, what was the reasoning, like why the Ten Commandments had to be made. Basically, it was like we already had the moral law, but then it was made to like written, and then that's the Ten Commandments. And then there was like a third law, the New Testament law, like how Jesus showed us instead of like he didn't tell us what not to do like the Ten Commandments. He told us what to do. So those were like the new written commandments. And then he gave a brief like summary about how, what the setup was, how it was a covenant between God and man, and like each part had like a responsibility and stuff like that.
Cool. Okay, that's good. So so tell that in a 5-minute summary. So basically, if we start back from the story of Adam and Eve, they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and then God said, I'll come for you like later. Fast forward to the time of Abraham. Abraham gives birth to Isaac. Isaac gives birth to Jacob, and then like goes all the way down. Generations pass, and then comes the time of Moses, and the Israelites are in Egypt as slaves. So if you guys know the story of how the Red Sea crosses, and the Jews are free. Moses says, "Let my people go." They cross the Red Sea, and after they cross the Red Sea, Moses goes up a mountain, and on top of this mountain, he has a conversation with God. He talks face to face with God, and when Moses comes down after this conversation, he comes down with these 2 tablets, and these 2 tablets hold the 10 Commandments, and these 2 tablets, they make what is the covenant. And just like how he elaborated on it, the covenant is an agreement between the people and God. If the people follow these commandments, then God will look after them. That's what covenant meant, as Diago and David went over last week. And one of the interesting things is, after the miracle of the Red Sea splitting, which is supposed to be like a mind-blowing thing, and when Moses goes up the mountain, he's there for 40 days. And during those 40 days, the people, in the most weirdest way, they just forget about God and the miracles that he did for them, and they just start worshiping their own jewelry. And worship it in like in a very weird way, and it just shows how quickly we switch away from God and give up on him after he does such a miraculous thing. And also another message through that was this is kind of a reflection of us. How after all the things that God does for us, sometimes we immediately turn back to our old ways. After he does something miraculous, all the things we say, oh yeah, we're going to quit this, we're going to quit that, sometimes, a lot of the time we immediately go back. And it was to draw parallels to that. Also, is it good so far?
See me after class.
Okay. And also the 10 Commandments, a special thing to know about that is the people already knew in their hearts that this was law. They knew what was right and wrong. But when the 10 Commandments were made, it established it, reaffirmed it, and it confirmed it. So that was a huge thing about having the 10 Commandments. Okay. Okay, but
Oh, he's in the comments. He's in the comments. Because they're right.
He was bad, right? Were you recording that? Where's Ben?
Right here
Oh, yeah.
with the camera.
Yeah. I really meant where's the camera? No, I'm kind of.
I appreciate you too.
All right, that's the summary. That's what we did last week. This week, what are we gonna talk about? Hello, how are you doing? I'm glad you made it. Boom, boom, there you go. Speaking to God. All right, somebody was reading their notes. So, we're doing the first commandment. For those of you guys who didn't get what he said, I didn't get it either. We're doing the 10 commandments. That was kind of mean, right? Yeah. I was shocked. But I can say meaner things.
You need to stop.
So, it can get a lot worse. So we're doing the 10 commandments, right? We're doing the 10 commandments. Last week we did the introduction. Today we're gonna start the first commandment. Now here's the thing. It'll be easy, like usually, as anybody who took a course on the 10 commandments, like today is don't worship another God besides me, right? So it's easy to go down the list. Other gods, money, other gods, friends, other gods, drugs. You know, like don't worship these things because don't do that. Don't do that. That's minus 10 points right there. Don't do it, not tonight. So it's easy to kind of list all these things and then talk about like these are gods, don't worship them. I kind of want to do a little bit different thing today. I'm probably gonna use that method in the future for the other commandments, but today I kind of wanted you guys to understand like the nature of the style of the 10 commandments. So like this kind of like carries through the other 9 commandments that we're gonna look at. We're gonna do a little bit of listing of like the different type of gods, whatever, in order to kind of get the idea. But today I want us to focus on the style rather than like the commandment. Now, we're also going to talk about the commandment as we're looking at the style, but kind of get that like formula in your head for the future because it's going to be like the same context that we're talking about it in. Does that make sense? Yes? Yeah. Okay, all right, cool. Because everybody was quiet, the camera's in. Can I get a volunteer to read? Okay, there we go. So you don't fall asleep. Yes, I went there. Yes.
And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. Exodus 20.
Yeah, that's enough. He's so excited. I never get to read. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hey, look who's here. Oh my gosh. They were traveling the world. I apologize. So here's the thing. This is how the 10 Commandments is starting, right? So like it's saying God spoke all these words. This is what we're going to concentrate on for the next few minutes. God spoke all these words. Now here's the thing. I don't like God. What? Yeah, I said that on the camera. And what I mean by that is I don't like the word of God. Huh? Oh yeah, handout. All right. So what was I saying?
You don't like God.
You don't like God.
I don't like
This is
God.
going on Facebook.
I understand this is live. So here's the thing. I don't like the word God. Right? Why? Because God really doesn't tell you anything. You know how the word like God came about? Right? When they were translating, they were trying to figure out what to name like the God of Abraham, like the God. And they were like, we don't know what to do. And they changed a small letter G to a capital letter G. Really doesn't tell you anything about his character. Right? But then when we look at the ancient languages, and this is why I'm very big on language, what kind of language that you use in order to read the Bible. Now, one of the funniest questions that I get a lot is, which version of the Bible should I read? The answer is, if you're reading the English one, it doesn't matter, you're probably reading the wrong version, right? The English language in itself is weak. It doesn't matter which version you read. You could read the King James version, the the version. You're probably not going to get anything at the end of the day except for the fact that you're reading ancient English, but you don't understand any of the story that's within it. Does that make sense? So the English language in itself is weak. What constitutes as a weak language? If you're trying to figure out a word and you're trying to understand what it means, what do? Look it up. What are you looking up? Like, if you're serious about trying to understand the meaning of a word.
Origin.
The origin, right? So if you look at the origin of an English word, where does it lead you to? Greek or Latin, most likely, right? So you have to go to a different language in order to understand what that word means. Especially when you're dealing with the English language, you're not just going to Latin, you're not just going to Greek, you're going to some words even have both of the language's influences on the word that you're looking for in order to truly understand the meaning of the word, right? And this is why it's funny to me. Our parents say, please read the Amharic version of the Bible. I'm like, that's the same thing. Amharic is a weak language because if you really want to understand the root word of Amharic, what do you have to go to? Goods. If you want to understand the root word of goods, what do you have to go to? Nothing, you're there. That's it. Like Latin. No. That's goods. That's the root word. The root word is the root word. That's it. So once you find, this is why strong languages come. And this is why it's important when you're reading the English version versus the Ge'ez version. Strong languages like German, strong languages like Hebrew, Greek. This is why if you're serious about reading the Bible, you would go into one of these stronger languages in order to really understand what this is saying. So the English version says, and God spoke all these words saying, I am the Lord your God. This tells you absolutely nothing. Compared to the Ge'ez one, it says, Ana wa'utu exi abi here. Zaut ayku kamu midragibs ambeta and we're going to break that down apart and we're going to see why this is very important. If you go into the Hebrew version, God's name is Elohim. Right there we get something huge. We've seen this before. What does that tell us? Those of you guys who are in the 5 pillars class. Elohim. What does that tell us? You guys don't remember that?
It's like multiple.
It's a plurality. So within the name, this is the thing that English. So this is it is.
That's a nice word.
Don't do that. No. Now I'm gonna be so cautious every word that I say. So here's the thing. It's equivalent to saying the gods said. It's equivalent to saying that, but of course, it sounds weird in English, right? So within it, it's not a singular word. There's a word that's really saying it's a plural of a singular God. It's very that's why Hebrew is complicated. What it's really hinting at is this is a triune God. The triune God is speaking. So first, it begins by saying God spoke all these words. So listen, you've got to understand who's speaking, right? Let's say you're around, you have a 5-year-old kid talking, right? You're at a little birthday party or whatever, and all these kids are talking. You're not really paying attention to them, right? All of a sudden, a guest comes up, and then he says, hello, everybody. All of a sudden, we start to listen. Why? Because it's important. Like the priest is here. Let's listen. It's important, right? Here, he's saying, the Bible is telling us, God spoke. Listen. Who is God? Now, right here, if you're reading especially the other versions, you get an idea of who's speaking. Who's speaking? The triune God is speaking. Who's speaking? The mysterious God is speaking. The God that we know very little about, but the God that is big. The God who is huge. The God who is the creator of this world is speaking. Listen. Listen, because he's about to say something. He's not your ordinary God, small letter G. He's not your friend. He's not your pal. He's not a prophet. He's not your friend. He is God, Elohim, the triune God. Listen, because he's about to say something serious. God spoke all these words. This is what it's telling us. This is what it's telling us. The God who created you, who gave you life, he's speaking. You were nothing in the beginning. You weren't even in the mind of any, you were nowhere. God gave you life in order to be here today. He is speaking. Listen to him. Because he has something to say. God is the one speaking. Listen. Because he's the one who governs you today. Who gives you whatever you want anytime that you pray. He's the one that you go to and cry to. And he's the one who always listens and gives you whatever you need. God is speaking. Listen. Because God, this same God is the God that died for you. This is the God that resurrected. This is the God that gave you salvation. He is speaking. Listen. This God, the God that will get you into the kingdom of heaven is speaking. The God who's omnipotent, omnipresent, all-powerful, present everywhere, eternal. This God is speaking. Listen, because he has something to say. God is speaking. The one who will take you into the kingdom of heaven. He is the one who is speaking. Therefore, listen. God speaks. You do not get that from the English version. As he's talking, he begins to go, I am God. He's telling us like the stuff that he did. I am God. It's like when you're a little kid, especially, you like to hear stories about your parents, right? Like cool stories, like how they met, what they did in college, you know, like whatever. So like you like to hear all these, it's interesting to see like how you know, like the Genesis stuff, like whatever. God is saying, let me tell you about who I am. Let me introduce myself to you in case you don't know me. I am God. And then he says something. Again, we're going to compare the English and to get this together because you can't really tell anything. He says, I am the Lord, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. In the Goodness version, it says, Here, what I want to emphasize is, he's speaking in plurality. Right? This is something like the English language doesn't have. When I say you, am I speaking to one person or plurality of people? It's plural. Right? Like it could be one, it could be many. Like in the English language, we don't know. If I say anta, who am I speaking to? One and a God, right? If I say auntie, it's a girl. Then if I say antimu, or like bamaringom, nanta, I guess, will be the plural form, right? So in Ge'ez, it also has you in the plural form. And this is the form that it's using. So he's talking to everyone, all the nations. That I took you out of Egypt. I am God. Remember what we talked about last week. For many, many years, these people were enslaved. They were in slavery. They were crying out, please take us out of slavery. So God took them out of slavery. Now they're making an agreement with God. They're prepared, they're like at Mount Sinai, and they're getting ready to make an agreement, a covenant with God. He's like, remember all those years that you were in slavery. Remember all those years when you were crying out to me. I am God. I am God that took you out of slavery. You in the plural form. Egypt symbolizes struggle. Egypt symbolizes hardship. Notice how he's using the plural form because it's meant to be true for all generations. This applies to us today. He's speaking to us, all of us today. He's saying, I am God. I am God that took you out of your misery, of your hardship. Remember the last time that you me and you prayed to God. Remember that time when you cried to God that took you out of your misery. He is the God that listens to your prayer. He is speaking. He's going to give you a command. He is the God that is speaking, that is telling you, listen to what I have to say. Because I am He that took you out of slavery. His name in good is እግዚአብሔር. እግዚአብሔር is a combination of two words. You have Exi, which means Lord, King, and then you have Beher, which means land, like world, area, right? So you have እግዚአብሔር, meaning the King of the world. Or like the God, the King that governs the world. እግዚአብሔር. እግዚአብሔር, the King, is speaking. እግዚአብሔር, the King, the governor of this world, he is speaking. He's telling us, I have power. In his name, he's telling us, I want to take you out and deliver you from all the hardships. I have that power. I have done it before, I can do it again. I have the power, the authority, the strength, and this is what I can do. How strong am I? I can solve all your problems. I am God. I am the King. Listen. And then he does something amazing. So far he was using the plural form. Then he says, Itamlik amaleta zenbelea. Itamlik is singular. So he's talking to plural. I was the one that took you all out of slavery. But you, individually, you do not dare to worship another God. Don't even think about it. Like, how could you? Like, how could you? I am here. I am God. Elohim. I am Exabihir. I am the King that can do whatever I want, and I have proven it to you by taking you out of Egypt. I have defeated your enemy. I have given you life. I'm governing you now. I'm giving you a promise that I'm going to put you in the kingdom of heaven. I am God. I am powerful. How can you worship another God? How is that even possible? I have given you whatever you want, and I'll continue to do so. But how could you worship another God? Like, I'm the king. I'm the master. How could you worship another God? It's not that he's forcing us. He's saying, how is that even possible? You got the best of the best. You got the best thing out here right now. I'm offering myself to you. You get to worship me. You don't have to. You're allowed to worship. You should be thanking me. The fact that you're allowed to worship me right now. I am God, he's saying. I am a king, and you get to be my child. You're allowed to live in my palace. You are allowed. This is the agreement that we're making. Don't worship another God besides me. Itamelik. You individually, every single person. Notice how he begins with plurality. So he's starting with talking to everyone. I took all of you out of Egypt. I have saved all of you. But you, specifically you, don't you dare worship another God. Talking to each and every single one of us. Other gods? This is where the list begins. Money, friends, drugs. It could even be family. It could even be the good things. I've told this story before. I'll tell it again, even though it's kind of embarrassing to talk about. So here's the thing. Those of you guys who might not know, I'm going through some hard times financially. I'm a little broke. Here's the thing, people. I got no money. Now, people are laughing because they know it's true. About a year ago, when I came, I had $0 in my bank account. $0. Literally, these guys know because they had to pay for my food and all that. So I had nothing. Nothing means nothing. Nothing. Now, growing up, so I grew up in the church and we learn about different temptations in this world, right? And there are three main temptations. What are the three main temptations? We've talked about it before. Of the world, what the world offers you. What are the three main temptations? Money, power, and lust, like sexual desires, right? So you're growing up, you learn about this stuff, and then you look at it and you're like, sexual desires, I get that, right? That's all you think about, oh my gosh, right? The day you learn you have to wait until marriage is the worst day of your life, right? Really? No. Because it's the hardest thing to do. When you're young, if you're able to fight your sexual temptations, you're a martyr. You know how hard it is? It's tough. It's hard. That is your martyr. That is your crown of martyrdom. Back in the day, they were they had to die for Christianity. You just have to fight off the temptation of this flesh. In this world, in America, that is your martyrdom. And it's tough. It is hard. It is tough. Everybody's yeah. You only get one crown? You get two? So I remember reading about this and thinking, yeah, it's tough. And then saying, but how do people get tempted with money? I get it, right? So people like money, people chase money, but like on the same level, like as sexual like temptation, no way. Like the same level, like like sexual temptation, like like makes you go crazy. But money, like you want money, but you never like money. You don't do that, right? Then talk to me when your bank account shows 0. That's what I did. I went insane. Like I flipped. Like literally. And I was like, oh, I need money. And then, so I'm not, whatever, right? So like, I grew up around DC. During my time, like since high school, I think I missed like 3 church days on Sunday. That was like my brother's wedding, his gas's wedding, and the time there was a storm or something like that. Like, I don't miss Sunday. Like, it doesn't, like, I can't sleep like on Sunday, like church. It doesn't happen, right? Even when there were storms. We would drive up on Saturday night, and then like spend the night at church to make sure like the snow doesn't distract us, and then we would do church service, and then we would somehow go back home to make sure that we didn't miss church on Sunday. Then I came back from Ethiopia after like monastery. I'm like holy and stuff, right? so like this is it. Like technically it's on my side, Like I'm like, all right, I should be good, like whatever. So, but I got so stuck in what I was doing. There was this one particular Sunday I won't forget. And I'm working multiple jobs. Like I'm not just doing Uber. Like I was doing high-end jobs like Lyft. Better right like those. So I'm like juggling both jobs. And then one particular weekend, I remember like I had to meet my quota, but I had to go to church. I couldn't meet my quota if I went to church. So I said, I'll go early. I'll meet my quota because I got to get my money. Went, came back. That evening, my mom said, how was church? And I was like, it was the same. I lied to my mom. But much worse, I lied to God. That's when I knew I was in the wrong direction. Woke up. I had to get my life together. I'm not saying I don't care about money. Trust me, I still do. That's all I talk about, right? But I'm probably more broke now because like, now I'm in the negative. Like at least like I was, now I'm negative. So like the money issues is still there, but like over God, what was I thinking? Now hindsight is 20/20, but we still struggle with stuff when you don't know it, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? Like it's not like you go to church every Sunday, you're like forget God, and you just walk away. It doesn't happen. It creeps up on you. Like you turn around like, how did I get here? Like what happened to God? You know what worship means? Worship means it's taking over your mind. Like you stop thinking about God, and you start to think about the new thing. Like all your problems, all your worries, all the things that you're thinking about, that becomes God. But here's the thing, the more you think about it, it will lead you to forget about God, which is false worship. But it was God who is the only way that could fix all your problems. You see what I did there? See what I did there? I'm sorry. So, false worship is when you think about something other than God. So the more you're thinking about this, the more you're forgetting about God. So there's a problem. There's a problem you're trying to fix. And that problem is in your mind. And the more you think about it, you're forgetting about God. And the more you forget about God, the bigger your problems become. But it was only God that could fix it to begin with. But you're forgetting about God because you're too stuck worrying about your problem. That is false worship. That is false worship. You've given something else more importance, more energy, more time than God. I don't care what your problem is. I don't care what your issue is. It's only God that can fix it. It doesn't even have to be a problem, right? Anything that's worth giving up God is idol worship. And this is why I say family. Like, sometimes we could think that we're doing the right thing. Sometimes we're too busy living for family. I'm not saying don't love them. I'm not saying don't care about them. I'm not saying whatever. But sometimes we get stuck, like living for family, that we start to forget about God. Responsibilities at home, they're very important. But if it's causing you to sacrifice God, like Sunday mornings, every week, like one Sunday, I'm not gonna say it's okay, but it happens, right? I'm never gonna say skipping Sunday is okay. It's never okay, but it happens, right? It happens. But if you're in a schedule where you're skipping every Sunday to do something for somebody else, thinking that you're helping, no. You're giving up God for somebody else. It could be your career, it could be your friends, it could be whatever it is. The minute you start walking away from God, you're worshiping something new. Especially career is the easiest thing to get like lost in. Because I remember in my 20s, you know, back in the day. You think, like, you're going, especially when you start a new career, you're like, okay, like, all I gotta do is get this certification. Like, that's it. Like, I'm gonna be focused for the next, like, month. I'm gonna get it done, I'm good. You get that certification, and you want a new raise. In order to get a new raise, you need a second degree. So you're like, all right, I'm gonna get focused, I'm gonna work on the second degree, and I'm good, I'm set forever, like that's it. So you go after the second degree. After you get the second degree, you need a training. So you're like, all right, that's it, like this is the last one. I'm gonna get the training, I swear I'm gonna get back on my church game. I got this. Then you get the training, then you need like additional degrees to keep moving forward. Before you know it, you have kids, you have family, you have whatever, and you've never committed yourself back to God. So your career is getting in the way of God. The same thing is true with friends. But my friend is coming into town this week. That's good. Then next week is like your other friend is like graduating. That's great. Then your friend is like having a baby shower. Okay, I get it. Then like my best friend is doing this. Okay, but how long is that gonna go for? Are you gonna sign up your life to make sure that everybody else is happy except for God? So every single time we go to God and say, God, you understand, and we walk away from Him, but how does He feel? He is God. He is the one that delivered you out of your misery in order for you to smile today. We're in agreement with Him. Idol worship. Idol worship means this. It doesn't always, like, when we think about idol worship, we think about, like, evil things. The first thing that we think about is, like, literally idol worship, right? Like the type of worship that we saw in the golden calf, right? So they were there, they're like, oh, weird God, you, whatever, right? So they worship idol worships. That's what comes up in our mind. The second thing that comes up is bad things, like drugs. Like, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad for you. Like, people know this, right? So, like, okay, idol worship. I'm not gonna, like, my body is the temple of God. I'm not gonna ruin my body by, like, getting stupid drunk and, like, ruining my body because this is the temple of God. I'm not gonna do drugs. As long as I don't do drugs and I don't, like, get stupid drunk, I'm okay. This mentality is extremely, extremely bad. This mindset of, like, putting a caliber, a standard of saying I'll be okay as long as I'm not that bad is the worst thing we could possibly do. That is not how God operates. God operates with who you are today. Who you are today. Not who you want to be tomorrow, not what you were yesterday, but who you are today and where you plan to go. So these are very, very, very important things. Hal, you had your hand up for a little bit and then you put it back down.
Yeah, you used to talk about how people could kind of, let's say they're not within the church, or like let's say they're helping their family or working or whatever. I remember you teaching about doing that through God and showing God's grace through that. So like, because if you're doing that, if that's your purpose when you do it, how is that going away from God?
Very good. In that example, so he's talking about, like, let's say you got a Bible study here, right? You about to go, like, okay, Jesus, commandment, I can't, nope. And then your mom is like, I really need you to help me today. Like, clean up the house, right? Like, I really need you. Mom, no, God is more important than you drive. Are you worshiping God? No, you're not. You're not worshiping God. And here's the difference. No. Here's the difference. Your actions are not, God looks at your heart, not what you do outside, right? So when you're bringing God into whatever you're doing, I'm not going to say whatever, but like most of the things that you're doing, then if it's for the glory of God, God knows. For the glory of God. You could do two actions, right? And then one, you're doing it for your own interest, and the other one, for the glory of God, God is going to accept the glory of God. Abin and Cain, both of them put like an offering. That's a good thing, right? This is God first looked at their heart, right? He looked at the heart of Abin. It was good. He accepted his offering. He looked at the heart of Cain. It was bad, so he denied the offering. So when you say, I'm going to go to church, or when you say, I'm going to help my mom, he's going to look at your heart. So at that moment, if you stayed, for example, and this is a conversation I had mostly with you guys, was like, if you stayed that day and help out, whatever, it's like, thank God that God is doing this for me. And then you talk to your parents like, I'm glad I could help out. Next time, I'll sacrifice my Friday evenings to help you out. But I just like to go to church. You think your dad is going to say no at that moment? Or your mom's going to say no at that moment? No way. No way. Right? To them, what's the first thing they're going to say if you're like, I'm going to go to church, I don't care what you say, because God is more important. Is this what you learn at church? That's the first thing they're going to say, right? This is what you're learning and God is teaching you this? So now you're not bringing glory to anywhere. This is a speech we've all heard, I'm sure. Like, all of us have heard this before, right? So this is the mentality that I'm talking about. Getting in the right mindset. If you don't change your mind, then you can't really move forward after that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Other questions? Other questions? Nope? All right, let's keep moving. We stand before God. So that's the next thing that he says. He says, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall have no other gods before me. Notice that he's telling us, you are standing in my presence. I am the God, the King, the Elohim that took you out of Egypt. I am here and you are standing in my presence. How can you worship another God? How can you get into these type of actions that will cause you to worship someone other than me? This is what he's telling us. He sees us even when we sin. Sin in itself is an idol worship. Because at the moment, sin is literally an action, and we've talked about this before. Sin is an action that literally takes us away from God. It's an action that will cause us to lose God. That's what sin is. By definition, when we are sinning, we are idolizing something else. We are engaging in idol worship at that moment. Because it's an action, like there's no way I could be worshiping God and doing an action that's causing me to lose it and claim that I'm worshiping God. I can't do it, right? You guys get that? Sin is literally breaking the first commandment, because sin, if it's causing me to lose God, I can no longer worship him. That means I'm worshiping something else at that moment. This is why sin is horrible. This is why sin needs to get away, right? Because it's an action that is literally causing us to sin. Sin is embarrassing. Sin is like, this is why at the club, so I've heard, this is why at the club, how do you get people to start dancing? You play the music, and what else do you do? Turn off the light. When you turn off the light, yeah, right? And everybody goes into the middle, floor or whatever. They start dancing. It's good stuff, right? So they go in the middle, and then they do whatever, right? And then when it's time to wrap up, what do? They turn on the light. Everybody that was tying their shoes, kids, right? So everybody that was tying their shoes, all of a sudden they're embarrassed, right? When the lights come on. Jesus is the light. God is light, right? Jesus is light. And darkness is sinful.
Such a good one.
So
That was a good analogy.
So here you have it. You made me use my train of thought. So when they're sinning, right? Literally, God is the light of the world. And then in the presence of God, we stand up with confidence and we want the world to know what we're doing. But sin embarrasses us and literally makes us go down out of embarrassment. Right? Think about the stuff that we're engaging in. And I'm not just talking about just the dancing. I'm talking about any sin activity that we're engaged. We're so embarrassed of it, we don't talk about it. For example, if something good, tell me something good. You got a straight A, right? All right, so let's say you have a very good high GPA. Wouldn't you would you be embarrassed about it? No, you talk about it, right? Guess what my GPA is? I got like, what did you get? You didn't get that high, right? I got an A on the exam. Did you? No? Oops. So because it's not embarrassing, right? Whether it's your parents, your friends, whatever, like you're excited to talk about it. What about sin? What about that embarrassing weekend? What about that Friday night when you were like really in a bad situation? How many people have you told that story to? Would you get up here and tell everybody? No. Why? Because it's embarrassing, right? There's like certain stories. There's still to this day, like some people from college, when I see them and I'm around church folks, I'm like, right? Like people know, like y'all know Kojo and Sam, like whatever. Like we were together yesterday. We were hanging out. If they came here, there's about 99% stuff that they can't talk about. Right? Because I don't want people to know. I'm like, no, it's embarrassing. But I went to Get Out. Guess what I did? I went to Get Out. Did you know? Oops. Because it's a good thing. Like nobody's embarrassed about the good things that they do, but the bad things, it's embarrassing, it's sinful. Right? Why? Because it makes us like lose God. We're engaging in idol worship. If nothing else, not sin. And the real bad thing about sin is, it's a bad thing that we lost God. But you know what else we lose? We lose those who love us. Like we lose those people that care about us the most. This is the definition. We always talk about this. People that really care about you, like that really care about you, are people who will tell you to stop doing sin. Not that encourage you. The person who's like, take the extra shot, watch out. Watch out. Because think about what's happening in that moment, right? And here's the way to think about it. If you have an exam, let's say like you have something serious like on Saturday morning, like a job interview or whatever it is, and somebody says, "Hey, you want to come out?" Like, "Can't, man. I got something to do." And they don't say, "You know what? What you have to do tomorrow morning is more important than you hanging out with me." They're not a good friend. Because at that moment, they're thinking about like their happiness, their joy, the fact that you get to spend some time with them together, right? They're not worried about your future and what's coming up. This is why your parents cry when we fall in sin. There's nothing to get out of it, right? Like nothing happens to them. But they cry because they genuinely care about you. That is love. That's what God does. Whenever we fall, He really like cries. That's what He was doing in the cross. Like tears of blood. Right? That He's saying like, no, don't do this because it's not good for you. Not for me. He doesn't care. God doesn't care. He doesn't need us. We need Him. Our parents, like, that's why they are like the definition of what true love represents. This is why they argue with us all the time. Don't go on time. Do this. Do that. Do this. Because for them, they're telling us, look, this is what's the most important thing, and they're showing us love. When we sin, we lose not God, but the people that really care about us. And we have all these people that, if we're gone tomorrow, You ever like disappeared for a while because of school, whatever?
Yeah.
And then all the people that were hitting you up saying let's party, when you stop partying, what happens? Are they around? Nope. Let's be honest. I'm not saying like get rid of everybody. I'm not saying like just walk around angry at people and just like don't see them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like understand. What does it mean for people that really care about, oh, you know that person cares about me. What did they do? They bought me like 10 shots yesterday. It was the best. People, wake up. Like, wake up. People that care about you are people that really take the time to like, hey, no, this is not good for you. Like, keep those people around because they won't go anywhere. Your parents, when it's said and done, and they moved to North Carolina, that's how you will know how much important it is, because they're the only ones that will call and make sure you have food in the fridge or something. But most importantly, we've been trained to have this mentality of like that I don't care mentality. And we were talking about this in the women's ministry. Pause. For those of you who don't know about the women's ministry, talk about it. It's a little commercial. If you guys don't know about the women's ministry, come see me after class. Guys, it's not for you. So those of you who are on the call, most of you weren't, we were talking about this mentality of like that I don't care mentality, right? It's something that exists in the West. Like, I'll walk the way I walk, I'll act the way I act, I'll do whatever I want. My parents, man, they don't get it. It's like my life. I don't know why they're bothering me. I don't care. I'm gonna do me. This mentality is not Christianity. It's not Christianity. You have to care. You have to care. What like your parents are saying, you don't have to listen to them all the time. I'm not saying your parents are correct just because they're your parents. No, they could be wrong. It's possible, but you have to care that you're hurting their feelings. Like, it's not okay for your parents to sit down and cry about you and say, "Mom, I don't care." That's not Christianity. Forget about your parents. Your enemy. Your enemy. It's not okay for you to look at your enemy and say, "I don't care that he's sad." That's not an okay mentality. Your worst enemy, I don't care who it is, what they did to you, whatever. If they're sad, if they're hurt, you should care. That's Christianity. This past weekend, this artist by the name of Cardi B. Y'all didn't think.
You got to a fight with me.
Got in an altercation with another artist by the name of Miss Minaj. And as I was reading the article, watching the video clip, it said like she threw a shoe like at the other lady, like the Cardi B person. Like she threw. I was like, how ratchet is that? Like because they're like at a very high festive place or whatever, right? So like this like girl, whatever it is, like she just picks up her shoe and like throws it. Like come on, have class. Like she's apparently like important and people follow her. So like if you're on that status, have class. How embarrassing. Then I kept on watching the video, and then it talked about how apparently they had like these like altercations. For those of you guys who are not as hip as I am, Cardi B is it like this artist that's fairly new, and she's like a woman rapper or something. And then Nicki Minaj has been in the game, is what they call it, for a while, right? So she's like this person is very important. Everybody respects her. Cardi B's kind of new. Apparently, this like Nicki Minaj character has been saying like shady things to the other girl, right? Like mean things, like you're ugly and this, I don't know what she's saying. But like she's saying stuff to her. But then recently she started talking about her kid. Started talking about how like her motherhood like skills. Like you're a bad mother, this, that, and the third. So she took off her shoe. I was like, why did she only take off her shoe? Like throw everything at her. She deserves it. Like, I was so mad. Like, how do you talk about somebody's child, right? That's wrong. That's wrong. Like everybody, you don't have to have a kid in order to understand like how wrong that is. You can say whatever you want about anybody, but you don't get to talk about somebody's kid, right? Yeah. Right? So why do we talk about God's children? Ooh. Like the person, like close your eyes for a second. We're gonna do an exercise. Close your eyes. Like, no.
Reddy's good at that. She was good.
Sienna's already closing his eyes.
Reddy gets an A+ today. She started on the exercise. She was like, this is my favorite part of class.
Oh, wow.
All right, close your eyes. All right, we're not going to go to sleep, so you close your eyes and think about that person. Yeah, go there. The person that you can't stand. Person that you can't stand.
I'm looking at him.
Just imagine me, that's it.
No, seriously. No, we're going to do this exercise. Close your eyes. Think about that person, right? Like that really did you wrong. That person, that girl, like her hair is ugly, right? Like you're probably imagining her. Like think about the time that you stuck her in the face in your mind. And then like, you know, like that guy that cursed you out and did you wrong and like you can't forgive that person. He is the child of God. She is the child of God. You can open up your eyes. Like whenever you say, whatever it is that you say about that person, understand that you're speaking about a prince or a princess. Understand that you're talking about the child of a king. Do you think the king is gonna if Cardi B is throwing her shoes because she's like, you can't talk about my child, what is the king gonna throw? Like I don't want to know. Like I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there, right? So here's the thing. There is no way, by definition, you don't have to agree with everybody. We talked about this last week. You do not have to agree with everybody. There's a lot of things like, you know, I was reading, like, when it says, when somebody slaps you on the right, give them your left. Notice how it doesn't say give them your right again. Right? It says give the other cheek. So like don't give up on that person. Love that person, but try something new. It doesn't mean like if somebody comes up to you and they punch you, just like stand there. That's not what it means. It means like try different tactics, but love that person. Love that person. You don't have to agree with them. You don't even have to talk to them. But love and care about that person. You have to care about them. You have to care about them. And if we don't get into this mentality, and we kind of get into this position of hatred, which is very easy, and everybody says, I don't hate them, I'm just like, right? That's like a white man saying, I'm not racist, but black people. It's the same thing. I have black friends. It's the same thing. It's like I talk to them on the side. Like it's the same mentality. You're like all your behavior is clearly saying that there's something like whatever about this. You should care. You don't have to agree with them. You don't even have to like them. But you have to care about them. Genuinely care about them. Like at least about their spiritual growth. And where they're going on. Everybody okay? Like I got a lot of phone calls to make after this. The reason why this is important is there's no way that I could like stand here Monday through Saturday, talk about the child of God in the manner that I'm speaking about them in, come Sunday and claim that I'm worshiping God. Talk about the child. Oh. That was a great sermon. That was one of my favorite sermons. So, what are you saying? Like, yeah, so Monday through Saturday, there's no way that you could go and talk about the child of God in the manner that you talk about him in, and then go to Sunday and say, God, I love you. He's gonna be like, you've been talking about chocolate like this whole time? No way. Like, that's idol worship. Idol worship. Know who I am. I'm powerful. I'm a king. You are talking about my son, my prince, my princess. I died for. You don't get to talk about my children like that. That's false worship. That's idol worship. No, that can't happen. You are standing in his presence. Whenever it is that we talk about the people that we can't stand, and the people that we really can't, whatever, know that you're standing in the presence of God. Don't worship another God in my presence. I am standing right here in front of you. How do you not get that? Is what God is telling us. God, we're standing in God's presence when we sin. He's watching us. So let's conduct ourselves in a way that doesn't make us get trapped in false worship. There's a difference between falling, stumbling and falling, and there's a difference between like stumbling and falling and just sitting down. Right? Like if it's muddy and you're walking, like you trip and you fall, I'll probably laugh, but I'll help you up, right? Like I'll laugh first, and then like I'm probably gonna do it one, just stumbling and falling. But like you help a person up. But if somebody is like, if it's muddy, whatever, it says, okay, and they sit down, you're not gonna help them out. You're gonna be like, what are you doing? Like, what do you do? Why are you being stupid? It's muddy. Like, sit over there by the rocks, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's the same thing. Sin, there's like different things of like struggling, like in life, it's difficult. You fall into temptation, that happens. That's why confession is there. That's why repentance is there. That's why forgiveness is there. But when you choose to not even like work on your weakness, like you're forgetting that you're standing before the presence of God, when you're comfortable by the sin that you're doing, to the point where you're like, I'm not going to change my ways. This is what it is, and it is what it is. And you stop there and you're comfortable with the sin that you're doing, wake up call. Wake up. It's a wake up call. Does that make sense? Make sense? Yeah. We're also in the presence of God when we're doing good things. It's not just when we sin, but we're also in the presence of God when we are being righteous. This is especially true for people that grew up in the church. When you hit like 20s, right? And like if you've been in the church for a very long time, you start to ask, what's the point? Right? Like, what's the point? Like, I did it, go to church every Sunday morning, then you get into the routine, right? Like, and then like you do the Kaddasin, and then it's the same mazmur. You come to class, you hear me talk about some stuff, and then you go home and like okay, whatever, and you do the mazmur, and you go home, and you're like, come on, what's the point? Like, I want something new in my life, right? So the stuff that you've been working on since you were a little kid suddenly becomes boring, and you want more excitement in your life, right? But God is watching the righteous deeds that you're doing. He's looking at it. And the same thing is true when you first come to the church. What happens when you first come to the church? People who've done it know exactly what I'm talking about. What happens the first like year or 2 years? When you like really like wake up and start coming to the church, what happens? Are y'all gonna front like y'all don't know what I'm talking about?
Wait, say that again?
What happens in like the first 2 years when you start like to really come into the church?
All in.
You're all in honeymoon, right? This is when you're like, this Christian like a new Christian is more spiritual than a bishop, right? Like why? Because when you first come in, usually in your teenage, early 20s, mid 20s, Jesus. Let me read my Bible. Do you want to talk? No, I have to read my Bible. You want to? No. Christianity, Jesus, love God, everything. Why don't you talk about Jesus? You know what Jesus did in my life? Let me tell you, let's talk about God. Now, all the time, every day. Then what happens? It's literally like almost a snap, right? You wake up, you don't want to hear the word of God. All of a sudden, and I don't mean like the English version and the Hebrew, like I mean like, it's just like, like again, like another satat, you know what I mean? Like Kidan, like oh my gosh, like when are these guys gonna end? Like come on, like, and then you start to get into my favorite part. You know, like this priest, man, like his sermon was like, before it didn't matter who it was. Like a person could get up and say, exact here, and you'd be like, it was the best sermon ever. Oh my God, like I learned so much, whatever. But now it's like, you know, like the drive is long and like, and you start to give comments because you're not as excited anymore because you don't think that the righteous acts that you're doing really matter like they used to, right? But you're in the presence of God even when you're doing righteous things. God is looking, He's looking at you. Sometimes we want to hear that you're doing great. Like, wow, keep going. But God is saying that. But your time to receive the crown is not now. You got to keep pushing. It's like running, like a marathon. You're winning a race. Like you're almost there. And you're like, I haven't gotten anything for the past 2 hours. What's the point? I'm going to just stop. You got to finish the race. You've been running for 2 hours. Yes. You're tired. Yes. But you got to finish the cross line or the finish line. Right? You can't expect to win anything before you finish the race. The race is not completed. We've been running so long. Yeah, we get fatigued. Yeah, we get tired. But it's not time to quit. It's the time to keep moving forward. Because the real prize is not until you finish the race. The race is not finished. That's what St. Paul's talking about. I have finished the race. Now I get my crown. You can't get a crown before you finish a race. You're still moving forward. You're in the presence of God. God is looking at all the work that you're doing. Especially those of you that have been in the church for a very long time. It's very easy to start giving up and to start saying, you know what? I did the church thing. I need a little break. Right? I need a little break from God. Like, yeah, like I'm going to pray. Yeah, I'm never going to go away from God. But like, I'm not going to be like as involved as I once was. That's not the right mindset to be in. And if anything, this age, this time, we need God in our heart. Can you imagine if Christ did that? If Christ was like, he came to this world, he taught for like 3 years, then he went to the cross, he was beat, and then like near the end, he was like, okay, like, I'll spit on, they beat, I think they get that point. And then like, he didn't die. Like the most important part, right? The most important part, if you walked away. That's what we're doing. Like all this, like so far what we've been doing in our life was preparation to get you to this life, to this point, and then this is the time to keep moving forward. So don't give up, keep pushing forward. Your homework assignment is to identify what other type of gods you have worshipped. Hopefully you guys are doing the homework assignments. Questions.
Can you say that again? What type of different
A couple different gods.
I've never.
So, you've never done idol worship?
Maybe like Dragon Ball Z, like when I was
You know, when I close my eyes, you know what I see? Forgot it.
What is the fill in the blank?
Oh, I don't know which blank. Senior after class. The God speaking is the God who gave you life. First one. The God speaking is the God who will welcome you in the kingdom of heaven. Second one. Out of slavery. Not only God, but even loved ones. The end.
Oh, what?
What?
You say everything?
What? Huh? You good? Any other questions? Any other questions? Yes? No? Maybe? Perhaps? Siyum or kala? Siyum or kala?
You shall have no other gods before me. Exodus 20, verse 3. You shall have no other gods before me. So when we first start, we learned today what is a god, and Dawi talked about it earlier. A lot of us would say, "Oh, I've never worshipped any other god. I believe in God." But Dawi mentioned today, like, what is a god, right? A god is anyone or anything that we worship, and sometimes that could be, especially in our age, it could be our career, right? Like you talked about that today. It could be money, right? And it could be, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife, right? Now these things, I'm not even going to talk about the drugs. I'm not going to talk about alcohol. I'm not going to talk about bad things. I'm going to talk about things that are good for us, things that we should focus on, right? These things could only become bad when we start putting them ahead of God, all right? And that's the only time that we say, you know what, God, you're very important, but I'm going through rough times. So Sundays, waking up in the morning, I got to get this money. And he talked about that example. This 1:30 Bible study class, and I'm an example of this. It's Sunday. Today's a special day. It's a holiday today, if you guys know. It's NFL kickoff. Like the NFL started. But we here. So that used to be my battle. It used to be a time and a point in my life where a 1:30 Bible study, like, nah, I went to church this morning. Like, why go again a Bible study? Football was important to me. So at that moment, God wasn't important. God was number 2, and football was number 1. Especially Redskins. You gotta love the Redskins. So, all right, Giants. So again, like, these things is like, they're only like, even, I'm a married man, so husband, wife, like, when we start putting our significant, when we start putting, my wife ahead of God, that's an issue. I love you, okay? But, when we start putting anybody in front of God, we're breaking that first commandment that we might not ever think about it. At first when I was, thinking about the 10 Commandments, I grew up like, that one, like, I don't do that. Like, I worship God, like, God, God, God. But then, it's like, you grow up and things started becoming more important. Church isn't your priority, right? Then it becomes like, money. Like, there's a thing called time is money. Time is money. I never understood what that meant. Like, and I still don't. So we grow up a lot of times saying putting our career ahead of God, right? Like Sundays, coming to, like, I'll come during the holidays. I just went there last Sunday. Why do I have to come back again this Sunday? So those first commandment, it just becomes a suggestion. It just becomes something that we do when we have free time. And if you guys remember for the last course, is your soil fruitful? About the 3 different types of soil. These things that distract us from putting God ahead of everybody, they're thorns. They're those, thorns, the 3rd type of soil that we learned about. So they become thorns in our life, our career. It was a good thing, but when it's, career and then God, your career is a thorn. You got to reconsider. You got to really reevaluate your life. Same thing with, anything else. So football, I'm a huge, and so you just walked in, perfect timing. Football, like, I'm a huge fan. Like today, football started. Fantasy football. I'm a victim of this, and I've been here before. There used to be times where I used to be like Edase, and Edase would be going on Sunday, and I'm over there checking my lineup. And if you guys don't ever play, fantasy, sorry, but I'm checking my lineup. I'm at church, I'm serving God, but at that moment, fantasy is more important than Edase. And you guys know Edase is like, that's the biggest thing. We're at Bible study, a lot of us, and I've been in class here where you know, Darwin would be rambling about God knows what, and I'm just checking my life.
Oh, God.
You know, at 1 o'clock, right? We presently here. Like, I go to church, I do all this thing, right? But when we're on our phone, technology, right? Sports, like checking fantasy scores, like, am I winning? Am I losing? When we're saying all that thing, we're putting fantasy sports before God. We're missing out on the Word of God. That we might be preaching here, but it's the Holy Spirit that's talking through him, right? So in the same way, we're missing the Word. And a lot of time, like, I never really understood that. So, you know, when you look at this commitment, yeah, I've definitely broken it because I've put other priorities before God. All right? So now, what is the solution? And, you know, that's a little bit something different that I'm going to talk about that, you know, he might not have enough cover. But, so, what is the solution? How do we move forward, right? In order to put anybody first, right, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? And I'll talk about an example. My wife her heart is beating. I told her I'm going to talk about her. And she's like, what is he going to say? So, there was a time and point where, that's my wife, everybody said hi to her.
Hi.
So, there was a time where, you know, when I was trying to get at her, right? She gave me no time. She gave me no love, right? I would text her on a Monday. Hopefully I get a response by like Sunday, like 6-7 days later. That's true. That's true, right? What changed in her mind? Why are we where we're at today? She gave me time, right? She finally realized how beautiful I am, my muscles, how charming I was, and all that, right? So she took the time to get to know me, right? And now I'm, you know, not number one because God is number one for her, right? But now I'm a priority to her. Now she gives me all the time.
She
right?
texted me back before I texted her.
Now she texts me a lot more than I text her, right? She gives me more time than I'm like, the football game is on, like, right? The NBA game is on, right? What changed in her mind, right? She got to know me. So if we're gonna put God first, we gotta get to know him. We can't just say God first. We have to get to know that person before we put him first. Before we put anybody first, you know, forget about like Bible or any like Christianity things. Like if you're gonna put somebody ahead of some, like there's some of you guys that I don't know, right? Like you guys won't, you know, like you don't know me. Like unless you get to know me, then it's like you really can't put me ahead of people, right? So the most important thing that I would take away from this is get to know God first. Get to know God first. And you have a question?
No, I couldn't finish it then.
I take the questions, right? That's the difference too. No, we can do that then. We can do that then. But so the most important thing is to get to know God. If you're gonna put God first and like say He is a priority in my life, we can't just say we have to spend time with Him, right? So time, get to know Him, and you only do that by spending time. Now, time is not something that we could buy. Time is not something that you could store up. Time is, you got to spend your time. You got to spend time. I get 24 hours, he gets 24 hours, she gets 24 hours. We all have 24 hours, right? But it's what we do with that time that becomes a challenge, right? What is more important to you? Like we got to sleep, we got to eat. A lot of us work. This guy, I don't know. But we all have those things, right? Sleep, work, and what else? Sleep, work, and eat, right? We have those things. But what do we do with the rest of our time? You know, a lot of us say we're busy, right? What are we really doing with our time? Take time today, like, to go home and say, like, what am I doing with my time? How can I put God first? And you got to get to know Him, and you got to be, you know, you got to worry about what are you doing with the rest of your time. Are you spending that time praying? Are you spending that time reading? Are you spending that time, you know, trying to get to know God? Because that's the only way that we'll be able to put God a priority and, you know, top of our list and worship the one true God. I'm done. Yes, sir.
So, like, you know, diacon can like, as you saw by now, like, I had a phase when I first became a diacon, so they would be like, hold on.
Still on it.
I still got the phase, and like, so there would be a time where like I would be doing homework at home, and then I would just stop, then I would just do like church stuff. I would just like go like read a Kadasi book or something, and then my dad would be like, no, God is number one, but also school is more number one. like I don't know, like he always tells me, you know, churches will always be there. Just do your school first. Like I don't know what to. I never gave an answer to him because I never knew what to say. What do I say to that?
I mean, so we have our priorities, right? Like, I have to go to work, make a living, right? School, I've been in your shoes, and you gotta go to school, you gotta get your education. But I think it's just a matter of you speaking to your dad and saying, I've done my work, but I also have time for church as well, right? So like, you can't jeopardize God for your schoolwork as well. So it's like, it goes hand in hand. Like, we have our priorities. Like, I go to work for 8 hours a day. Like, you know, I have to go to work. You know, we have expenses. We have, you know, things that we got to pay for. But things that, you know, it's a living. You got to make a living. But it's what you do outside of the time. Like, it's the emotion. It's, I've done my schoolwork, but now I'm tired. I can't read my Bible. When that happens, then it becomes an issue. When it's like, you know, I've done my schoolwork. It's midnight. You know, I got to wake up in the morning. But, you know, I can't pray right now. I'll just forget about praying tonight. I'll pray tomorrow morning. When we start doing that thing, then that becomes an issue. So you always, regardless of like how you feel, like make time for your schoolwork. Regardless of how tired you are, you gotta put like time for God, regardless of what your situation is.
Yeah, just one thing on that as well, because it's like tied up with Hayal's question earlier, kind of, right? What? Don't. Yeah. So Luke chapter 16 talks about use the worldly resources to benefit others. So a true Christian is somebody who walks with a mission, right? You have a mission. That's the thing, that like we're Christians because every single step that we take it with a purpose of glorifying God. Everything that we're doing, we have to have a purpose behind it. Our friendships that we have, like it has to be behind this theme of glorifying God. Like it has to be God within it, right? So everything that we do, the careers that we choose, the school path that we take has got to be with a purpose to glorify God. And this is the thing that really kind of puts us at a different place than the rest of the world. We're not at liberty to choose whatever we want to be just because we want to be it. We can't do that as Christians. We don't have that luxury. We've got to be focused and understand that there's a big purpose for me in this world. If that purpose is for me to be a doctor, I am a doctor to glorify God and God only. Right? So imagine you go and then you start healing people, whatever, and people say, wow, medicine and science. No, God is bigger. Now who has a bigger voice? Right? Like that doctor. Remember that lady I never messed at or something? No?
The runner?
The runner? Don't tell me about this. Yeah, don't tell me more. So this lady, like she runs, she wins, right? So she's an athlete. Like, what is that connected with God? Well, she takes out the picture of the Virgin Mary, shows it to the world. She preached more than any other clergy member has in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church at that moment, right? So she did it with a purpose. That was her purpose, glorify God. Through her running, she's bringing God into the rest of the world. Now people were talking about it, like the rest of the world saw it, at least for half a second, right? But that still says something. So this is the purpose. Burke, are you listening? So when you go to school, you're not going to school just to go to school to get an A, but you're going to school to become somebody. So whatever knowledge you bring from the world, you're using it to benefit the rest of the world. Right? And to glorify God. Please understand this, especially those of you guys who are in college. Work with a mission. Don't just go to work, like get a degree and get a job and call it a day. No, that's not why we're called into this world. Get a job, get a degree, but do it with a purpose. And in that goal, God should be the center. I don't care what career path you choose. But at the center should be God. How is God going to be glorified at the end? If we're not doing that, we're not meeting our goal. Did I answer your question? So when you're studying, you are actually praying. That is your prayer at that moment. Like when you were working, like someone was talking about this. Like they were so busy, like at work, he's a doctor, and it's like he didn't have time to go to church and stuff like that. So he talked to his confessor father. His patience was his prayer, because like his patience, he was also like he couldn't stand the patience. He would try to like go rush off and like whatever. No. Your prayer is your patience. So like whenever he was dealing with people, he took more time to really care for them and listen to their problem and heal them correctly, as opposed to brushing them off and going to the next one. Check. I did my job. So he's a better doctor, and he's glorifying God through that. You see? Next time when like they see the chart, like this guy is a good doctor, I pray. See, that's his prayer. He's glorifying God through his career. So that's how we do it. Other questions?
I'm trying to tell that to my dad.
I think we're good. Other questions? Other comments?